Hello, friends. Here we are, 30 days of good news with the Master. And this is day 27. Day 27, chapter 27 of the book Good News by Humberto de Campos through Chico Xavier, the medium. This book is in English, awaiting its publication by the publisher. But we're going to read some excerpts and discuss because the message is truly therapeutic. Hello, Jussara, and Adilson, Tanya, Joyce. Good seeing you here too. Yes, speak up, right, Jussara? Microphone. Friends, for those who are entering here for the first time, let us not forget that the dawn is the symbol of a new day, and it's actually a new day, but psychologically it also represents the invitation for renewal. We need to renew ourselves constantly to really progress, to do the recycling of our emotions, of our thoughts, of our attitude in life, and change and transform ourselves. Also, the dawn, the studies at midnight, represent to us an effort, a tribute to the first Christians, and an exercise on how much they had to make an effort to cherish these teachings amid persecutions and going to the catacombs in the middle of the night. Hello, Valeria, beautiful flower, and Adilson. So, here we are. As I mentioned to you in the previous chapters, this one and the remaining ones, they deepen in level of difficulty, not in regards to our understanding, but difficulty or challenge in terms of the therapeutic inner journey. We go deeper and deeper and deeper inside of ourselves to the depth of our being, the core of our being. And it's not easy. It's not easy. We really need to be strong to feel this message and follow through in transformation. Today, chapter 27 is about the garden prayer. Hello, Solange, beautiful smiles and hearts. Right, Rudy, serene evening. The garden prayer. Interesting to note that Humberto de Campos, he is writing this book. He wrote, and this book was published in 1941, in the middle of the Second World War, which is very important for us to note the loving spirits bringing to the earth therapeutic and consoling tools for renewal and hope. Also, Humberto de Campos learned how to write it educationally. So we're going to see that for the last 3 chapters, he keeps expanding the therapeutic analysis for us over the same, a very important approach by Jesus, the one in which he washed the feet of the disciples. It's not by chance that he's repeating this same moment over the 3 chapters. It's the only time throughout the book that he uses the same scenario and brings about different features of therapeutic purposes. But why? He talks about the washing of the feet of the apostles. What is the main message there? Humility. Very interesting. We get to know, for example, through Allan Kardec, in his studies of the spirit messages, especially published in the Medium's book, there's one message that he specially publishes asking, what do we need to do to attract good spirits? And amongst everything else, they say selflessness and humility. Selflessness and humility are two essential features for us to connect at higher levels. Our vibrations go up. Humility is a unique feature that was demonstrated deeply by our guiding model, Jesus. And no wonder Humberto de Campos is sharing this with us throughout the last two chapters plus the one we're studying today. Chapter 25, 26, and 27. Right? Alrighty then, let's say hi to the group. Right. So here we have, okay. Okay, Jussara, we got your message. Katia, hello, good morning. Hello, Angelita and Raquel. And Dani, hello, my friend. Ceisa, João Bosco, good morning, Rihanna. Yes, we all need to listen to messages, right, Dani? From the Master Jesus Christ. Hello, sunshine. Friends, let us go to the very, very important moment. Okay? The beginning of the chapter. How does it begin? It's not because of the beautiful writing that he starts this way. There is a purpose now. In the preface of the book, Humberto de Campos writes to us specifically about, and he says, I'm not writing for any other purpose but to console and to help. By the way, for those who speak Portuguese, now I got it, Jussara. The Mention of the Way through Divaldo Franco is going to live stream on the 31st from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. New York time, which would be 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. in Brazil. Gonna stream Facebook Live at the Mention of the Way. Yeah, for those who speak Portuguese, of course. But anyhow, after the act of extreme humility, of washing the apostles' feet, Jesus returned to his seat at the humble banquet table. It's very interesting because we always ask, like, what did Jesus do after washing the feet? Because it was controversial. You know, the apostles were like astonished, but they allowed it. Peter resisted. He learned the lesson of humility and not trying to be superior than others. And now we have Humberto de Campos emphasizing how the guiding model was humble. And so humble that he would sit again at the table. This is very interesting. This body language of returning to his seat at the humble banquet table tells, once again, reaffirms the message. He could have left and make people feel unsettled. He came back, humble, to his seat. Very interesting. Sometimes we're unsettled. People don't understand us. And we want to do something. You know why many people commit suicide? Not only to run away from their pain, but also some people, I'm not going to say all, they do it out of imposing themselves. The studies of the Spirit show it. It's as if they are sending a message there. They can't take the pain and they want to imprint a message for those who stay. We understand it. We're more fragile than evil, Jesus said to Peter. But Jesus gives us a lesson. If the world doesn't understand, you keep still put, stay put where you are. Don't run away. What do I do? People don't understand. Keep doing what you have to do. Jesus taught a message of humility and kept himself seated in his position. He didn't change. It's very important to interpret this. When we study emotional body language, it's very deep. The scholars in the field of the neuroscience and psychology of body language, and I've been studying ever more deeply in that regard and working on it, you understand that his message was so coherent, not only in words, but in true actions. Right? Before everyone left, Jesus looked to heaven and prayed fervently, as the Gospel of John describes. And here we have the whole description of the discourse. I'm going to read to you a few lines of it, because not that it's long, but you can read it in the Gospel of John too, okay? Here we have him praying fervently before they left. Father, to God, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may glorify you. For you granted him authority over all people, that he might give eternal life to all those who you have given him. Now this is eternal life, that they know you, that the only true God, and Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I have brought you glory on earth by finishing the work you gave me to do. I've revealed you to those whom you gave me out of this world. They were yours, you gave them to me, and they have obeyed your word. Now they know that everything you have given me comes from you. He is our guiding model, my friends, and in these words we also have our best approach in life when we are educating and we are also parenting. As educators, whether in schools, universities, or even in spiritist centers, or in temples, organizations in general, let's not forget that the source of everything is God, not us. Let us make it clear to everybody so people don't feel it's coming from us. Like, for example, me. I'm not teaching anything. I'm just sharing the teachings that were granted to us by the loving efforts of loving incarnate and discarnate spirits. But they made it clear for us that it doesn't come from them either. And it doesn't come from any of us. Remember, Emmanuel tells us in a beautiful message in the book Ceifa de Luz, which is yet to be in English, that our intelligence comes from God. It comes from God. It doesn't come from us. So there's no reason for me to be proud. Oh my God, I had a great idea. It's God's idea. All the works of good, says Emmanuel, come from God. Yes, we appreciate each other's free will to decide to allow the divine message to go through us and to go through others. But we know that it comes from God. Jesus made it clear to all of us and in this prayer. For I gave them the words you gave me, and they accepted them. They knew with certainty that I came from you, and they believed that you sent me. I pray for them. Now listen to this, friends. Listen to this, because I think you're going to be truly moved. And he says in his prayer, and I'm not praying for the world, but for those you have given me, for they are yours. All I have is yours, and all you have is mine. and glory has come to me through them. I will remain in the world no longer, but they are still in the world, and I'm coming to you. Holy Father, protect them by the power of your name, the name you gave me, so that they may be one as we are one. While I was with them, I protected them and kept them safe by the name you have given me. None has been lost except the one doomed to destruction, so that scripture would be fulfilled. Ah, right. It's incredible. Hi, Leila. It's good to see you here. Thank you. And Felipe. I'm coming to you now, but I say these things while I'm still in the world, so that they may have the full measure of my joy within them. My prayer is not for them alone. I pray also for those who will believe in me through the message of my disciples, that all of them may be one. Father, just as you are in me and I am in you. You see, Jesus was already praying for us. The ones who were coming to embrace this message through the messages of those who were coming along. This is true love. This is true mercy. This is true compassion. Father, I want those you have given me to be with me where I am and to see my glory. Righteous Father, though the world does not know you, I know you, and they know that you have sent me. I have made you known to them, and will continue to make you known in order that the love you have for me may be in them, and that I myself may be in them. What a beautiful communion with God. Jesus is so humble that he is truly teaching us in this fervent prayer how to commune with God. Friends, first therapeutic quiz of this night. Where are we regarding our communion with God? I know we have asked this chapters ago, but it's time for us to revisit. Remember, effort and repetition to learn. Where are we now? Chapter 27, regarding our communion with God. 2016 is ending and a new year is beginning. Where's our communion with God? How much are we acknowledging everything we are? How much are we acknowledging God in our relationships? God in every single detail of our lives. 0 to 10, 0 being not good in communion with God, and 10 being excellent. Where do you think you are today? It's important that we meditate, that we revisit this moment, because Jesus has said before that the communion with God is everything we have in life. No wonder in chapter 14, item 9 of the Gospel According to Spiritism by Allan Kardec, St. Augustine, in a major thesis regarding parenting skills, he is telling all parents around the world that our mission is to connect our children to God. But we can only do it if we feel it. If we feel this communion with God, where are we in that regard? Or are we often and constantly referring to ourselves? Oh, yeah. This happened to me because God granted me this, but I made a lot of effort too. But where does effort come from? From God. Where does everything we do? We're co-creators. Nothing comes from us. The direction, will, comes from us. That's exactly what Emmanuel says. Goodwill, the direction we give, as Leon Denis says in the book After Death, comes from the inner decision. How does it happen that we separate this? I don't know. But what is important, that every resource we have, physical and spiritual, comes from God. So Jesus is giving us, why is Humberto de Campos describing this to us and reporting this to us? Because he's showing that Jesus is giving to us a true testimony of his communion with God. What happened after he prayed? The prayer ended, followed in religious silence by the disciples. Of course, after this prayer, it's like when Divaldo Franco says the prayer, Dr. Bezerra de Menezes and Chico Xavier and Emmanuel, many others, were silent, reflecting. And Jesus left in the company of Peter, John, and James, the brothers, the sons of Zebedee. And they left to the Mount of Olives, okay, where he used to meditate. That's interesting, another thing. Some people think, oh, but meditation is a Buddhist thing. Okay, I don't think so. Jesus used to meditate. And meditation is not a ritual. It's actually a wise method to really do the inner journey, do the inner cleansing, besides prayer. And it's scientifically proved today that it works quite well to balance ourselves out. I will never forget, in 2006, being at the International not Spiritist, Society for Neuroscience meeting in DC, where there were 35,000 neuroscientists from around the world. And there was a particular day in which the Nobel Prizes, that were neuroscientists and other renowned neuroscientists, invited the Dalai Lama to come and give the guest lecture. And we were there, and the main reason why he was there is because he beautifully collaborated with science, especially neuroscience, by opening the doors of the monastery and allowing very skillful monks of his order to be studied in his brains, so we could understand the mechanisms of meditation and how it impacts our physical body. What a lesson in humility, because it's not easy to allow yourself to be skinned in your brain and allow people to see what's happening there. But humility, and now thanks to this step of collaboration between Dalai Lama and his team of Buddhist monks, we now have in neuroscience the living proof that meditation is a therapeutic method to help us in many different ways. Many studies, for example, already pointed out that mindful meditation is the pathway to treat depression and anxiety and many other things. And Jesus, way before everything we were talking about happened, he was there at the Mount of Olives meditating. Tanya, thank you for sharing your number on the therapeutic quiz. Hello, Marilda. You want to see the Mount of Olives? Of course, this is a little different from Jesus' time, but let me show it to you, okay? Allow me. This is from my computer here. See? Just so we can feel a little bit. Because the rest of our scenario is going to happen in the Mount of Olives, okay? I think this is a very important scenario for us to envision and see ourselves there. So Peter, John, and James, and Jesus, the four of them, were there at the Mount of Olives. The remaining companions dispersed, but Judas, he was still unsettled. He had a storm of feelings devastating his heart. That's how we feel when we're not aligned. And the twilight started to fall over the clear sky. In spite of the radiant sun illuminating the scenery, a very cold wind was blowing in. It's very interesting that Humberto de Campos is describing it so we can feel it, what Jesus was experiencing. Okay? It's very, very interesting. After a few moments, the master and his 3 companions reached the mountain surrounded by leafy trees, so inviting to contemplative thought. There you go. You know, if you see trees, nature, as Kardec says, it's an invitation to meditate and to go into the inner resources of ourselves and work upon our communion with God. The apostles sat in the natural seats covered with leaves. They didn't sit on chairs. They seated on the ground. The Master spoke to them in a serene and resolute tone. See the combination? Serene and resolute. Beautiful combination. We are learning with the Master how to align feminine and masculine so we can be more whole in our approach to people. He says to the 3 of them, Peter, John, and James, this is my last hour with you. Pray and be vigilant with me so I can achieve the supreme glorification of God as I face the supreme testimony. What happened soon after? You're going to laugh a little bit because it's a little funny here and there. Okay? After saying that, he moved a small distance away to pray. So he prayed in his own intimacy with a sublimity the apostles could not appreciate. See? Even the closest ones could not appreciate. Can you believe it? You are there with Jesus and you're living with Jesus. You're the ones who are closest to Jesus and you don't appreciate it. You don't observe it. We need to be better observants. And you know, don't wait to observe people when they are celebrities. Observe everyone. You know, I was learning a new book by the VeggieTales for Virginia, and they put together a cute song. I'm not going to sing because it doesn't have true rhyme, but there is one verse that is very special because they say, God made you very special. God loves you very much. Each and every person we encounter, let us contemplate, but not the physical simply, but the inner, the vibrations. Let us do this exercise in the new year. Look at everybody whom we encounter and think, this is a child of God, as much as everybody else. I may not know this person, but this person is unique in the universe, and we know it. Each one of us is unique. I wonder what this uniqueness is in this person. And I'm not asking us to ask this question and find out, because we may not know right now. But let us be open to the uniqueness of people. Why not? Peter, John, and James, they missed the appreciation of the Master because they were still learning. We're still learning. But now, with these teachings, we got the trick of life, which is to appreciate the divine uniqueness in each one of us, including animals, plants, the mineral kingdom. Look, even the little stone on the soil, on the ground, is unique. Everything is unique. But people, you're watching a program unique, and ask from the bottom of our hearts, what is the divine uniqueness in this person? I want to know. I want to be open. And the sooner we enter that frequency, we connect with higher vibrations. The vibrations of the guardian angel of the person. Our guardian angel, our protecting spirit. And we can more easily flow in that relationship. Sometimes relationships are very challenging because we forget that we are divine. All of us, no exception. Can we push away the divine in others? No. If we do, we're pushing away the divine in us too. Okay, so let us see. Peter and John and James were profoundly affected by what they were seeing and hearing. Never before had the Master seemed so solemn, so convinced, as in that distant instance of painful supplications. Painful supplications. People may hear this and say, no, but Jesus, of course, he is a representation of real humanity. How, and it's in the book Living Spring by Emmanuel through Chico Xavier, a chapter titled Real Humanity. In that chapter, he describes to us that Jesus is a model of what it is to be a real human being. He didn't come for us to exemplify angelic beings. He's a real human being. So that's why we cannot say, oh, the bar's too high. No, that's our goal, our ideal. He's our guide and model. And it's long gone that we've been hearing this. Now it's time for us to fulfill it, comply with it. But breaking the silence, John pondered. Let's pray and be vigilant in accordance with the Master's recommendations. Because if he brought us here, only the three of us, this means that he entrusts our spirits to the grandeur of service to him. Okay. John goes, and then they start praying. They began praying silently. However, without explanation, they fell asleep in the middle of the prayer. I'm laughing because this is the funny part of the chapter. It is funny. It is funny because it happens to us. You see, after a few minutes, they woke up and heard the Master who was watching them. Jesus there praying, comes back, watching them. Wake up, he says. Didn't I recommend that you be vigilant? Can't you be vigilant if not for just 1 minute? Why is Jesus saying this? Let's wait and see. Keep the questions there. Wait. John and his companions rubbed their eyes like children. They are so cute. They're like, oh my gosh, right? Recognizing their own shortcomings. Then Jesus, whose gaze seemed to be illuminated by a strange glow, told them that he was visited by an angel of God that comforted him for the supreme martyrdom. We're never alone. In the most extreme hours, let us rest assured, we're never alone. Once more he asked them to pray with their hearts, and he walked away again. But the apostles, caught unaware, yielded to the imperatives of the body, and forgetting the Spirit's needs, again they fell asleep in the middle of the meditation. They awoke with the Master repeating, "Were you not able to pray with me then?" Oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. The three apostles woke up drowsy. From up high on the mountain, Jerusalem was immersed in darkness. In the year 2017, many emotions are already unsettled in the world. Tensions, conflicts, potential for tensions. Darkness. The darkness of the ancient Jerusalem is back here. In the final hours of this battle between good and evil. And I don't say hours meaning maybe years and decades and centuries, I don't know. But what we know is that we're in a very crucial moment. And the question is, are we vigilant? Are we praying? Are we vigilant and praying? However, before they could again defend their shortcomings, a group of soldiers and civilians drew closer, with Judas in front of them. The son of Iscariot moved forward and kissed Jesus on his forehead, as arranged, while Jesus, without giving an impression of weakness, no impression of weakness, and leaving the lesson of his courage and of his affection for his companions, asked, "Friend, why are you here?" What a master. You don't need to ever be ashamed of Jesus. Ever. Even when we're going way wrong. Because we are his friends and he knows us and he's never going to give up on us. His inquiry, however, did not receive any answer. The envoy of religious authorities arrested him and handcuffed him, as they would have done to any common thief. He was being treated as a thief. How often it happens to any of us that we may be treated differently than we expect. And here we are learning with Jesus what to do. We shouldn't tell people, but you know who I am? That's not the point. The point here is to exercise humility and fulfill God's will. As the scenes faithfully described in the Gospels unfold, we observe the dispositions of the apostles at this painful moment. Peter and John were the last ones to be separated from the beloved Master, after engaging in feeble efforts to free him. So, before we continue and go to the last part of this chapter, which is also very therapeutic, in this garden prayer, a main question remains for us. How come they slept in these most crucial hours? What does that tell us? What is the meaning of this lesson for us? In the most important moment, Jesus was counting on them and they slept. They didn't hold the current, we would say kindly, for people who do mediumistic meetings, like teaming up in vibrations. Why? Why? In the most crucial times, the ones that were closest to him, that were picked by him, John, Peter, and James, they slept. They didn't want to sleep, but they did. They didn't want to sleep, but they did sleep. Why? Hello, Osvaldo. Why? Why? This is the key question for tonight's good news. There are good news. This chapter is intense, but the good news are coming. After all, this book is 30 chapters of good news. And the good news are about to come in the Garden of Prayer. Garden of Prayer and a major lesson at the Mount. Remember, the Mount where we can either humble ourselves to the greatness of God and be humble, or stay there at the culmination of our ego. What happens? Jesus is an example of this communion. So humble, he is vigilant, he is prayerful. The apostles, not there yet. At the Mount, they sleep. Is it about the illusions of life? How many people are trying to explain their shortcomings, but there's no more time. Once, you're given an opportunity. Twice, and then the guards come in. What is it? The symbol of our conscience. No more time. No more time to be with the Master. Now we are on our own. If we allow ourselves to give excuses to be in this world, we will be on our own. Not meaning we won't be protected, but we'll be given the consequences of our actions. Let us meditate on this. Jesus is going to explain to us, but that's a preparation for us. Because John kept that frustration inside of his heart. I can't believe that I didn't pray and stayed awake. Hello, Gustavo! So, on the next day, Jesus was imprisoned like a thief. On the next day, the criminal movement of the mob was like a cold shower to the warm enthusiasm and the devotion displayed by the most energetic and determined of Christ's companions in the faith. The sentence imposed onto Jesus was excessively severe for those who were tempted to follow him. As we know, we are talking about the dangers of disclosing that you were following Jesus. Okay? Afraid of the persecution, some hid in the nearby area, while others, changing the usual tunics, followed at a distance the unforgettable procession, wavering between devotion and fear. Okay? The Messiah, however, crowning his work with the ultimate sacrifice, took the cross without one complaint. He surrendered to sacrifice without reproaching those who had abandoned him in the last hour. Knowing that individuals have their own moment of testimony in the pathway to their redemption, Jesus observed the compassionate women that surrounded him bathed in tears, saying, "Daughters of Jerusalem, of the world." Jerusalem represents the world. Don't cry for me. Cry for yourselves and your children. Exemplifying his faithfulness to God, he serenely accepted the heavenly designs without the slightest complaint, which could potentially contradict his purifying task. Guide and model. Friends, I think this is one of the hardest lessons for us, is to go through difficulties without complaining. But that's an invitation for us to go through without complaining. And you may be asking, like I asked once, Mentor Joseph, I understand that we shouldn't complain, but what do we do? And he said, Stay in silence. But then I'm going to swallow it, Joseph. And he said, Vanessa, when you think of Jesus and God in prayer, and you go to your room and trust that God knows everything, that Jesus knows everything and they are taking care of everything, your guardian angels know everything, there is no reason for you to be complaining. And then I asked, but people are going to think I have no problems. And he said, it's their problem if they think you're not human, not yours. If they think you're not human, they know nothing of human life. Because there is no being on this universe that doesn't go through challenges, especially on the earth. For example, he said, when you look at Divaldo Franco, if you think he's smiling and he's helping people and he doesn't have a problem, you probably don't know anything about the human psyche and the human life on the earth. But if you know it, you don't have to prove to anybody that you're human. Because if people don't get it, they will not get it when you complain. You're not helping them. Right? Very interesting. Thank you, Mentor Joseph. Practically, he said, when you feel like it, go pray and feel that God knows what you're going through. Trust Jesus and His protection and the guardian angels. Breathe in and out, pray, renew yourself, and go. There are people who go even to spiritist centers and they start the people who participate, it's fair, but the practitioners, we're there to serve. We're not there to, oh, how are you? Oh, my life, it's so hard. My life, my life, my life. It's not about us. It's an exercise, right? It's an exercise, right, Tanya and Joyce? Yeah, it's amazing. Jesus invites us to this serenity when we are aligned. It's an exercise for us. We may not know it today, but we're practicing. But we still have this question. Why did John, Peter, and James sleep? They didn't want to sleep. Why? Well, we're getting there. And, well, in spite of his demonstration of heroism and of sovereign love that he offered from the top of the cross, the apostles continued to be subjugated by doubt and fear until the resurrection brought them joy. That we know, we already discussed that chapter before. But now we're getting to the last paragraphs and the culmination of the good news of tonight, of this new day, of this afternoon, depending on where we are in this world. In his introspections concerning the Messiah, John started to wisely reflect on the prayer on the Mount of Olives. He asked himself the reason for his unexpected sleepiness when he truly desired to tend to the wishes of Jesus by praying. And he asked himself, why did I sleep? I who love Jesus so much, especially in that moment that his loving heart needed assistance and affection. Why didn't I follow Jesus in the last prayer when the soul of Jesus seemed to be stabbed by an indescribable anguish borne by the most painful expectations of what was to come? Some time passed by after the death of Jesus, but John was unable to forget his lack of vigilance. In the evening prior to the martyrdom, one night, you see how Jesus is loving. If you have doubts, questions, Jesus is going to come through some way and means to give you a response. Stay strong and faithful. Through John, we're going to learn it. One night, after his customary introspections, meditations, John felt a mild sleep anesthetize his vital centers. Interesting expression. André Luiz uses that expression in the book Evolution into Worlds. In Spiritism, we do not say chakras. We can, but we prefer the technical term vital centers because they are the centers that distribute vitality, the vital fluid. And he felt asleep, anesthetizing his vital centers. As if overcome by sleep, he saw the Master approaching. His whole figure shone in the shadows with a divine radiance. So we feel the divine radiance of Jesus. It feels so good, right? To be with him. It feels good. His whole figure shone. And guess what? We're not tired. Every description goes to the same direction. A serene smile. Many people smile nowadays. But what about a serene smile? Let us practice that consciously. Saying, I want to serenely smile to people. What is it? Take a picture. Observe yourself so you refine it. That's charity. Serene smile, like those of the past, preceded by the following words by Jesus. Now, Jesus is going to bring the answer. Why did John sleep when he didn't want to sleep? Jesus is going to teach us. Main good news of tonight, of this morning, afternoon, of this day. December 30th. The good news is the following. John, my solitude on the mount is also a lesson of the gospel and an exemplification. It will signify for those who will follow us in our steps that each spirit on earth needs to ascend alone to the Calvary of their own redemption, sometimes deprived from the care of their most loved relatives in the world. In face of such a lesson, the disciples of the future will understand that their march needs to be solitary, since their relatives and trusted companions surrendered to the sleep of indifference. Hereinafter, learn the value of individual testimony and never never forget to pray and be vigilant. Wow. Now we understand why Jesus didn't complain. He didn't expect anything from us. He had nothing to complain. Because he's saying, I knew it all along. I had to go through this on my own with God. That's why he had no reason to complain. I have no reason to complain because I'm supposed to go through this pathway like this, by myself, together with people. But the most extreme hour is going to be us. He's saying, each spirit on earth needs to ascend alone to the Calvary of their own redemption, sometimes deprived from the care of their most loved relatives in this world. If you are in this holiday season mingling with your relatives and friends, expect nothing but everything of you. We're supposed to be loved, to love without expecting to be loved. These are the good news of this chapter, of this day. Expect much from us, but nothing of others. Whatever they do, it's okay. It's an exercise. Right, Rihanna? We all need it. And he says, in face of such a lesson, the disciples of the future, all of us, right, will understand that their march needs to be solitary, since their relatives and trusted companions surrender to the sleep of indifference. Friends, it talks about the family in the Spiritist Center, in the church, in the neighborhood, at work, in our family, the blood family. He's saying we need to do things on our own and forgive the sleep of indifference. How often we're struggling to meet our needs. People around us know, but they are not awake. They don't see that we are overwhelmed. Tonight, Jesus is telling us, do not complain, because it's supposed to be like this on the earth. In Jupiter, it doesn't happen that way, because they're more evolved. In other planets in this universe, but on the earth, it does. It's the nature of the level of our evolution. And it's going to be like this for a while. Do not expect that the president-elect is going to know of your needs. Do not expect that the people in your company, your boss, is going to know of your needs. Do not expect that your colleagues, your family members, and your most beloved companions are going to know. And don't resent them. Let us not resent people. Let us practice the letting go of these expectations. I'm going to sing to you. Let it go, let it go. Just to make you smile a little bit, because this chapter is intense. Let go of the expectations. Let us make a pact of love. Pact of love, therapeutic love, okay? Let us exercise together. Let go of expectations. If you're extenuated, if you're overwhelmed, and people around you don't observe and don't help, instead of complaining, let us sing. Let it go, let it go. Let's let go of expectations and not resent. Don't take offense. Let us practice. Let us practice together, because if we have this pact of therapeutic love, we're stronger. I'm going to recall that we're together in this, and I'm going to complain less. I'm going to expect less, and I'm going to resent less the fact that I expect from people, which is not fair. It's not fair. They're not here to serve us, but we're here to serve love. God, meaning serve the world. Right? Gustavo, we're all working on it together. So let us wrap up with the words by Jesus. Once again. In face of such a lesson, the disciples of the future will understand that their march needs to be solitary, since their relatives and trusted companions surrender to the sleep of indifference. Learn the value of individual testimony and never forget to pray and be vigilant. Pray, watch and pray. Watch and pray. Right? Thank you, friends. Thank you for this community feeling. Let's stay strong. December 30th and tomorrow. What a beautiful lesson. It's going to be really a gift for the transition to the new year. The good thief. It's the crowning moment of his transition from this world to the next. We'll be together, you and I, until tomorrow.